Ship.
Well, I'll tell you a funny story about awarding scholarships. We had a coach on our staff that was recruiting a boy who was an average player, but his sister was quite attractive.
It goes good with the wine.
And
Yes.
he happened to be a kicker whose stats were not very good. But somehow he got a scholarship and was on our team for a semester. So sometimes you wonder in recruiting if you've really done your complete homework to find out how good a player is.
Yeah.
Else is real serious.
There are a lot of Australian kickers in the United States, and you would hope that
Although they do
this is
wrong.
just an anomaly, and he'll from this.
Hey, Gail,
point
can you
on
mute
be
your
an
microphone,
excellent player.
please?
Yeah, if I can figure out how to do that. Hold on, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah, there was a lot of, joking around about the fact that Cerny didn't know the rules to football, and they were having to teach him it. And I think that's maybe a liability, really. It's not necessarily a funny thing.
Well, it's doesn't make sense because they have Australian American football, and you'd figure if you were a soccer player, you might have wandered over and watched a football game and understand some of the rules. I saw that same article. I don't know that I buy that. I think that was just trying to be a comment.
I hope so.
He's trying to get in.
Hello? There's no one there.
Yeah, you have to turn it off.
Okay. Other questions or comments?
It's the same as last week. I'll get you the number. Hold on. Okay, the meeting number is 932-2299. 4564. And then the password code is 331.
Saying there are three phases of football: offense, defense, and kicking. And in the last 3 years, we have been abysmal in kicking overall. And that's kept us from probably being about Scott having a record of about 50-50 instead of being in a negative way. This was a game which obviously was just given away. We won't have to give them Christmas presents this year because we already took care of that. And to lose net punting by 190 yards, that's pretty much 2 lengths of a football field. And again, like I say, you teach, if I were teaching it, I'll put it that way, you teach the punt return as we taught you to stand 10 yards from where the ball hits. Poor punt is hit, you get in front of it 10 yards away. If you get a pure bounce, you catch it, run with it if you can. If not, just take a knee. But you save so many yards. I think back to the game against a small college we lost 2 or 3 years ago. College from Alabama. Again, the kicking was big factor in that game. And of course, the kickoff returns against Iowa cost us the game. And there are various others I didn't look up. But that has to be corrected. We keep saying that every week, and it doesn't get corrected. And last year we had a non-on the field coach that was in charge of special teams at 150,000 a year. Special teams were poor. He gets fired. They hire a coach on the staff to take care of it. He has to look in the mirror and say, honestly, it isn't getting done. And whatever needs to get done needs to get done because there's no reason to think that this isn't going to continue if it doesn't get corrected. That's being kind of harsh, but by the same token, that's the facts of life. We have to understand it because the defense played a very, very fine game. Second half, I don't think they gave up a first down, and we end up losing the game. And it just giveaway games like Illinois and with Michigan State puts you in a bad way looking at the rest of the schedule. Any other comments about the kicking? And unfortunately, we're going to see some clips of it and go from there. Next thing.
George,
Yes, go ahead.
yeah. I know I've asked this or commented before on this, but I know Johnny Rogers said that the reason he was so good in special teams is that all the special teams were the best players from offense and defense. And he says that's completely different than what they have now for special teams.
And that very well may be, because what happened when OU won their national championship, when we played them poorly down in Norman and lost to them, they had all but one mainland line starters. If they felt they had a second team or third team player that was good, they would put him on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you can't short your people covering kicks. Doesn't mean that they can't be second teamers, but they have to be really good at what they do and take a lot of pride in it. And that's a good point because sometimes you'll have first team players that talk themselves off of kicking game, figuring you want to save themselves. We got to the point later on where we wouldn't do that. In fact, we had a real good linebacker here in Lincoln, and he got on every special teams he could get on. And he ended up playing 3 years in the NFL, mainly because of his special teams play. And no, that's a great point, Bill, because if you have somebody on there just to put him on there, you're hurting yourself. You better have the best people on there, and if they have to be starters, fine. And you can spread them out over the various special teams. But this obviously has to be corrected. And if it isn't, there's no way to, in my opinion, to contend to think that we're going to have a winning season. Any other comments or questions? Well, let's take a look. Excuse me now.
Special teams.
Oops, somebody's
is
talking.
At least the third of.
Oh, I think Gene's trying to put something through, Coach.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. It seems to me that since special teams is at least a third of the game, then you would have to have your best friend players on it, just like you would have on offense or defense.
Well, I think that's very sound. And the only exception would be if there were a couple players real close. in athletic ability. And the second team man, if you would be fresher as a cover man because he would not have been playing on the field. You might make that point too. But you're right, you can't just slough off and think that special teams is not vitally important. And we have done that the last 2 or 3 years, and it's cost us games. We just haven't covered kicks well. And this game was just abysmal to see and to watch, to see the ball hit the ground and roll and not do anything about it and get poor field position. Again, one of our other diagrams, which most of you have, is the pyramid, starting at the goal line, going up to the 50 and then down. Well, if you're constantly way back in that pyramid, there's no reason to think that you're going to score many points. We had a lot of offensive yardage in the game, 2-1 to Michigan State, and we still lose the game. So your point is well taken. If you have to have a player take a rest on defense for a play or two, or offense to successfully handle the special teams, you should do that. And again, I think your point is very well taken, and Johnny Rogers knows a little bit about kicking, and so his point is well taken. So it just has to be corrected. We've got to get to the point where the rest of the Big Ten schedule, we are a dominant kicking team. Our kicking has to average net 40, and our returns have to average net 30, and we can't be giving up big returns and poor coverage. It just isn't going to work. And when you have 150 kids down there, you've got to be able to find some kids that can go in and play special teams and do an excellent job. And there's a lot of kids that are willing. It's just a matter to find the ones that will be successful. And it's, it's easy to be hard on the kicking results, but the bottom line is if you're going to evaluate what you have to do to have a winning season, that's an area that we've talked about for 2 or 3 years, has to improve. And quite frankly, it has. And of course, that might mean I can't get into practice anymore, but that's my personal opinion. It hasn't gotten better. And if anything, it's gotten worse looking at this game. Any other questions related to the kicking? Because again, like I mentioned, our defense played a pretty darn good game, especially in the second half, certainly well enough to win. They've played well during the year, holding Oklahoma to 20-some points. So you have one segment that if you evaluate Saturday's games, you'd say we won the defense, we lost kicking radically, and maybe offense was 50-50. And the result was a close loss. It's that simple. Let's take a look at the 3 big, what I felt were the big plays in the game. They weren't the only ones, but okay. Okay, trip set, shotgun trips. Sack the quarterback. Big loss. big stupid play. This is the second game in a row that we've gotten a 15-yard penalty after making a tackle.
There's no question about that.
And you have to understand that the officials are going to call that every time, even if it's close. I mean, and I'll ask Jim if in meetings they emphasize that as the Big Ten had their meetings.
Yeah, they do. They do. The bad thing is you start getting a reputation, and then the film on Friday nights is all about you, you know?
Yeah. The other thing which we didn't mention earlier is the horrendous number of penalties early in the game, which hurt. Okay, we'll see if we have a next big play. This should be down here at the bottom of the screen. And it's just a flea flicker. Back to the quarterback. Match up. The defensive player wasn't as fast as the offensive player. He didn't keep his cushion long enough. And here is their touchdown. That was obviously one of the big plays in the game. And the next big play in the game, we commented on, got it in.
Yes, sir. Everybody, that you got to watch your eyes on this one. They might start burning after you see this play. So let's see if I'm close. It's not quite it. There you go.
Okay, you're working your way up to it.
There it is.
Okay, we're in a traditional punt with 3 back.
And something I noticed, Coach, we had our 2 shotgunners on the right side instead of having one on either side of the line. We don't have anybody covered. We don't have anybody on the left hash anywhere closer to the left hash.
Yeah, but that would be normal if you're going to kick the ball to the right.
Okay.
Yeah, and the only thing I'm noticing here, and you all correct me if I'm wrong, I see only 10 men on offense.
No, there's 11.
Is
Yeah.
there?
There's 11.
Yeah. You got your 5 linemen, your 2 wideouts to the right. and then the
Okay,
photos.
that's West Virginia math.
That was your
Okay.
bad eye.
Yeah, got to use your other eye, man. Oh, never mind.
Now the left end, and none of them had any clue where the ball was punted. First of all, the punter should be screaming his head out, his lungs out, to say that the ball was punted incorrectly.
He shanked it, it looked like.
Oh yeah, he wanted to punt the ball down to the numbers on the right. Or
Just
on
came
our
off
way.
his foot crazy.
Yeah,
I was screaming, Coach, but they couldn't hear me.
I know, it's ridiculous.
Hurts to see it again.
Yeah, that just, such a body blow to lose a ball game that way, because there really shouldn't have been any problem. Even if he shanked it, they needed to see where the ball was going, and he should be screaming to the linemen to deviate their coverage, because we had no contain, and even at that should have had contain. But it's a terrible way to lose a football game. But unfortunately, we've taken turns finding different ways to do that, which makes it so disheartening for the team and for the fans, because we can be a better football team than we're showing. And that's unfortunate. Okay, next what we have, and we could have a lot more offensive plays here, but the offense played reasonably well. I guess the first comment would be made is it looks like the right tackle is illegal. Looks like he's back too far.
They were telegraphing Saturday night what their lineup was. It seemed like the tackles were cheating backwards on pass plays.
Yeah, well, normally they would want to if they could get away with it. But in this case, of course, with an empty backfield, and this is the first play of the game, by the way.
Back in, 20, 30 years ago, would they get away with lining off the line of scrimmage that far?
You get
Sometimes
warned.
we would, and I'll tell you a story about that. We used to complain all the time about our opponents having the tackles back too far. So we go to Colorado, have the ball on our left hash. Our left tackle was too deep because he was going to pull to the right. And we ran about 60 yards for a touchdown, and the flag came out. And it was kind of like the Big 10 officials or Big 12 officials saying, you've been complaining and bitching all this time. Here's your answer to the call. And unfortunately, he was illegal. And it took a great touchdown off the board right away. So you have to be disciplined. The tackles will cheat back as much as they can get away with to make it easier on pass blocking. But you have to be careful how far you go back in violation of the rule. Our right tackle got beaten badly, and to see there's some talk of replacing him in the starting lineup in the paper today. Okay, here we next we have a 2x2 shotgun set. Shift. Quarterback scrambles. Needless to say, he's the best runner on our team and made a very nice game.
Watch number 14 on this play, though. He could have blocked and led him all the way to the end zone on this one, but he ran out more ahead of the play.
Did. He should be running stadium steps for this one.
Way too far out in front of the play.
Well, that wasn't as much a problem. He just had to attempt to block, and he didn't. He's looking around as a spectator. That cost us maybe a touchdown or a yardage.
Now, Coach, you had a big gain for this next play, but this is the next play that's being run, and I don't know if this is just the way the footage ended up for me or what, but.
Well, I may have made a mistake. Here's a bunch set. We go in motion and throw the hide screen, and they covered it very well. Maybe the next play, if it's still on there, will show it.
Well, it also jumped from the second quarter with 13 minutes left to from first quarter, 13 minutes left to the second quarter or something like that. It just didn't look like a good time jump for me. And then it goes back to the second quarter with 12:16 left.
Okay. let's see if this is the play we're looking at. Now you see the linemen here are up a lot closer.
Yes. And they're in a 3-point stance. Well, at least the right tackle is.
Yeah,
Moving to his 4-point stance after the most.
yeah. We
Very good.
just have a terrible time with that. There ought to be bottoms of shoes burned off from running stadium steps for jumping off sides.
I just couldn't find it, Coach, and so we got another minute.
Well, we can watch this. Notice the guards in center, they will take you to the ball. Mixing spread formations and tight formations. I think we only have one tight end on the field here split out. This one's throwing it away so you don't take a sack. Double team number 6. Kind of got flushed out of there pretty quick.
All right, this is a play that you wanted here, Coach.
Okay,
Now it's back on track.
all linemen down in the 3-point stance. Quarterback faked and ran the option for a big gain. Notice all the linemen are in the 3-point stance, except for the tight end. Martinez ran around the player for the quarterback number 5, made a real nice gain, and we're incorporating a lot more option plays, and it's helping us.
There was one where they stopped play to check it to see if it was a forward pass, and it was nowhere near a forward pass.
Yeah, and if the ball had crossed the line of scrimmage and been forward, it would have been brought back. But if it was behind the line of scrimmage, the forward pass really would make no difference because it's behind, it would be a forward pass instead of a lateral. But if it had crossed the line of scrimmage, of course, it would have been penalized. Okay, here's kind of a strange formation. We have 4 receivers on one side and 1 receiver on the other side. Now, if you have a great split end, we used to call it the Randy Moss syndrome. You would have trips on one side normally and a great receiver on the other side. And then you would determine whether the defense was going to double him or not. And if they wouldn't double him, you normally would win if you had a superior athlete like that. That's where they hope the Manning kid will develop to be that kind of player. Okay, let's see what we have here. See, the defender played pretty loose off of him, gave him room to hook up for a nice gain. Good pass protection. Nice 9-yard gain.
This is one of those where number 3 was open. He wasn't obviously the primary receiver. Number 3 was on a linebacker and there was nobody back there with him.
Yeah, he looked like he ran away at the end. At first, Martinez would have seen the linebacker, I think, in his vision line.
He just seemed to be missing the reads on his open receivers Saturday night a little bit.
Well, a lot just depends on the progression on each pass. In fact, tomorrow or Thursday, if I go down to practice, they will spend a half hour running every pass they're going to possibly run in the game. And he counts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on every one of them and then throws the ball. In other words, he shows the coaches that he knows on that particular play what his first read is. So they have a very disciplined routine as to where to throw the ball on a particular pass.
Okay.
And if number one receiver's covered, obviously you go to number 2 and then number 3. They go about 3/4 speed on Thursday, and they practice for a long time and review everything they might run in the game on offense. And of course, the defense is working at the other end of the field. And so that's pretty interesting because there isn't any question what his read progression should be, judging by how they practice all week.
Okay,
Okay.
next one. You might have missed it. I think this was the 4th down play that we ran. And that
Third
number
option, beautiful play.
number
Yeah.
3 for Michigan State, he came from the other side of the field to catch him.
Yeah, well, at the point of attack, they sure were not in position. They have nobody, either 27 or 7 should take the pitch. 27 bid on a fake and obviously is nowhere to be found. Very well done. Very poorly played by Michigan State. Okay, lineman in a 3-point stance. Kind of a counter and a run for the touchdown. Changing the play from the sideline. Center makes the calls for blocking. So there were some good things on offense. There were other plays that were pretty good too. You would hope with 400 and some yards of offense, you would score in the 30s. And of course, we didn't do that. And
Coach, do you want defense or kicks next?
I think what we will do is save the kicks for last. That way everybody can make sure they have a barf bag available if necessary, and kind of go from there. What we'll do now is look at our defense versus Michigan State. And again, we played well enough on defense to win the game. When you hold a team to no first downs in the second half, you should be thinking you're getting good field position by exchanging punts, and of course, which we didn't, and that you really accomplished a great deal. Now, this is during the first half, a few plays that were successful by Michigan State. Here they're in pro trips, little bootleg pass, missed tackle. That's too bad because that would have been a very short game. But defense played hard. They ran to the ball. A lot of things to be happy about if they'll continue to do that. They're going to make it harder on the teams that they play if the kicking game and the offense will get squared away. Okay, here we are, second down. And we blitz outside backer. Quarterback heaves it down the field. We have a nice interception. Putting a lot of pressure on from the right. Now here we see formations that we see often, a bunch formation from Michigan State. Well, they did have a bunch play before. Now here's slot trips. 3 receivers on one side. And of course, that's our good play, bad play of the night. Should have been an exceptional play.
I gotta ask Jim, at what point would this whistle be blown?
They're probably blown it when he's got it made, got a grasp of it.
Okay,
Yeah, he would have been
But not
all right,
always.
wouldn't he, if he hadn't thrown him down?
yeah,
If he hadn't thrown him down, it probably would have been okay.
Yeah, because he ran into him grasping, the whistle blows, you release your arms and you're in good shape.
hello. Yeah, sure, you can.
It's 30 yards of penalties.
Hey, I'm on my class here, so you have to knock on the door and I'll come out, okay? All right.
Okay, here's the flea flicker touchdown again. Just a matter of a player just hesitating a little bit and looking in the backfield and getting beaten, whereas normally he would play this okay.
All right, then we got one more here, Coach, on defense, unless you have another note that I don't see.
Okay, this one, there's a kid named Hayward who played for Pittsburgh. And they called him Ironhead because he was a big, strong guy, and this is his son. And he certainly took after his daddy.
Ran a good route too.
Had been tackled right there. And then there. Excellent job on his part.
That's all the offense and defense, Coach, that you had marked, unless there was another play that I might have missed.
Well, what we're going to do after we take our break is we're going to look at our second half versus their offense. And we played very well, certainly well enough to win the game. And so we'll get it to the start of the third quarter.
Yes, sir. I'll do that while everybody's on.
And let's everybody take a 10-minute break. And we'll watch an excellent performance on defense. In a heartbeat, or we're going to have some more disappointing Tuesday nights and Saturday afternoons. Well, let's start out with the third quarter. We used to have a goal of 40% of an offense's production was 3 and out. That was a goal that we had, and we stressed that, and it was very important. When you have a good defense and you can accomplish that, you have a chance to win a lot of games. Okay, first of all, we should have the ball on the 25-yard line, 1st and 10. New State. Gain of 3 yards. Nice job inside of being strong. Number 8 came down to help if he cut back. Really making an effort to stop the run, which is very, very important. Make a team one-dimensional. Next, 2nd down and 7. We get down with a 5 defensive line with a blitzer off the edge. Notice there we have a nose guard over the center. Should cover number 75 there with 90, 99 or pretty close to it. So a decent gain for Michigan State. 3rd down and 1. Down a 5-2 defense. Excellent job, -2 yards, 3 and out. Great way to start the third quarter. We always talk about the first drive in the third quarter is so vital. Here, the defense really did a fabulous job of making sure that they had nowhere to go. Okay, 5-yard gain.
I was really happy with the way Nebraska defended the jet sweep left and right this time. They've
Well,
struck.
and the other thing is that it's great to see how they're running to the football.
Yeah.
Right.
Really important. Good zone coverage. 2-yard gain on a drag route. I think 42 ought to narrow his stance a little bit. Okay, now it's 3rd down and 5. Got him back inside the 20. We hold him here. We ought to be thinking we're going to get points in the next series. incomplete pass, 2 3 and outs in a row. Okay, here we're in poor field position, 1st and 10. Zone defense. It's dropping, eyes on the quarterback. 5-yard gain. 2nd and 5. -3 yards. Beautiful job of penetration. Came inside and the tackle looped behind him to cover for him. It's really good defensive football. There's a 5-man rush. Thrown was incomplete. Three and outs in a row, which are tremendous. Problem is, we're not scoring any points. Because our kicking has put us in such bad field position, we have too far to go. We had an open receiver there and this didn't throw it very well. Good pressure on the quarterback. Because we've been putting good pressure on them, they come back and attempt to screen. They have their men in a bunch position up at the top. Played very well. They reacted to the screen well. Okay, next, 3rd down and 10. We're showing single deep safety. We blitzed. -6. Stunning inside between the 2 inside linemen created a problem. Created penetration. That's 4 3 and outs in a row. If we could continue to do that the rest of the year, we'd be happy campers. Okay, incomplete pass. 3-man rush and a spy. Good coverage. Good disguise on the rush. You know, you look at this and say, well, we've got the game well under control. We should be up by a couple touchdowns. Third down and 10. Basically a three-man rush.
Something else I've seen, Coach, this year too, we've batted a lot of balls down at the line of scrimmage when the quarterback throws it.
Yeah,
They're getting their hands up.
well, it's good technique when you aren't getting there as he's starting to throw.
And I think this
So
is,
there was another 3 and out.
this will be the overtime.
And it's needless to say, too long a game. Unfortunately, a great play by the quarterback. If you would have shown this section of the film to someone that didn't know the outcome of the game, you would have pretty much assumed that the team in white kind of won handily. But we obviously didn't.
All right, that's it for that one.
Okay, let's go to the kicking page. Any questions or comments from the class about what we just saw? I think we all agree that the defense played exceptionally well. Not give up a first down until overtime. Play like that for 30 minutes, you should win a lot of games.
I didn't know that stat, George. That makes it hard to swallow.
Oh yeah, it really does, because you know, the defense just dominated the game the second half, which you would assume would give the offense 2 or 3 real opportunities to score if you handled your kicking game correctly. But,
How many times
Yeah.
have you seen a team being held to 14 yards and no first downs in a last half and still win the game?
Well, we lost to Missouri in 1973, and we fumbled the punt on the 5-yard line. They recovered it. They went in and scored a touchdown, and they had 1 first down the whole second half, and they counted the 5-yard touchdown as a first down. So I did see that back then. We were undefeated and they were undefeated. We were a better team by far than them, and we lost 13-12. We got an extra point blocked, and made some kicking errors that way, but we only gave up one first down, which was from the 5-yard line. So I do unfortunately remember that. Okay, we're balanced kickoff, kicking from the center of the field. Good job. Get it on the 25. Okay, again, 5 and 5. Ball in the middle of the field.
Yeah, their kicker got it, touchbacks on into the win and out of the win.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead and run that back if you can. Ed, I know sometimes, okay, we'll look at it here. Okay, you just can't, this is 41-yard return.
Well, I got it.
Gives them great field position.
You want me to run it, slow down the speed a little bit, coach?
Yeah, that's fine.
Don't get to do it the way I used to be able to, but this will be half speed. You're still fast.
Poor job there, which hurt badly. I think normally you should kick off from the hash and not from the center of the field. And try to pin the return man down behind the numbers and shrink the field. Here they have the whole field to run.
Okay. You wanted this one as well, coach.
Yeah, maybe the next one, because this one's 5 and 5 also,
Okay.
but that's okay. Again, too many yards on the return. You've got to get people over there that can win.
Yeah, they have their starting wide receiver returning all that stuff.
Like you get a kicker that can put it in the end zone every snap. Okay. Maybe skip to the next one if you can.
I'm going to see if our next spot was 642. So I want to, that might be them kicking. So we'll go back. Yeah, that's them kicking. So we'll go back.
Okay.
You're trying to find that spot, right, where they switch it up?
Yeah, where we had 4 on one side, kicked off from the hash.
There it is.
Okay, here we're kicking off from the hash. 4 into the boundary, the rest of them into the field. You want to try to put the ball down by the Big 10 field in the end zone and shrink the field so that you play on 2/3 of the field, which should give you a better opportunity to stop the return. Okay, let's go ahead and kick it.
Kicks it right in the middle.
Yeah, that's terrible. Now, they didn't get that much of a return, but our kicker's doing nothing. He kicks the ball and he's jogging down the field. He should be bracketing with a safety man. Doesn't even look like, yeah, there's a safety coming from the left side as we looked at it. Run it again if you can.
Yes.
And they should bracket the ball and not let it get between them and let it break out between them. He's got to be a football player, not just a spectator.
He's not.
He's not doing crap. Excuse my French. You want to be playing with 11, not with 10. Okay. Kickoff return on our part. Get the ball to 25 if you don't return it. Okay. Poor return.
This is the second time this year we've had the opponent kick off from the 20-yard line. First, it was Illinois for a touchback, and then this. We should have at least started at the 30 or 40-yard line.
Yeah. Well, he bobbled the snap. Then blocking wasn't good. Very, very hurtful play. Okay, here we're in our punt formation. And this is a very good punt. Down inside the 10. Excellent job. He wants to be punting over the right guard. In this case, he went maybe a little wide, but punted pretty well. That way, pressure from his left side would never get there. Okay, we've seen this one, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Containment at the top did a poor job. He didn't even know where the ball was. He could have come straight to the return man and tackled him. We don't know where the ball is. Gotta communicate, scream your head out. Punter should be going nuts.
So coach, to
Calling
look
out
that
where the
bad,
ball went.
sorry to interrupt, to look that bad, did it just mean that everybody knew that that ball was going right and then it went left?
Well, it was supposed to go right, but nobody noticed that it didn't. Number one, the punter. He knows right now that he screwed up. And if he could have gotten the contained man to stay outside, we might have stopped the play and other people adjust. You have to be throwing a fit, screaming and yelling your lungs out, because it isn't, on punting plays, it's not that loud that you can't communicate. Okay, go ahead. Okay, here's a long punt. Lets it hit, lets it roll. Yeah, right there, the ball's in the middle of the field. Catch the stinking ball. Run 3 yards forward, and that's better than letting it go into the deep down inside. We've had a terrible problem with our punt returners. We don't seem to have an adequate person there.
Miss my flight.
You see, we've got a regular defense out there now. Got good people.
To the gate, still on the plane. She's still on the plane.
Look where the ball hit. Players pointing at it. Didn't get over in front of it to stop catch the ball and get a couple yards. Now, as Bill mentioned, here's the mostly second team players. Okay, number 3 gets the ball and gets no return. It was a tremendous punt on their part.
This is the last point we wanted to see, Coach.
Yeah, this is the last one. Okay, ball's on the 15. We should get the ball inside the 50 for the offense. We do our job.
Bounce at the 40-yard line. You got 20 yards of roll out of that.
Yeah. back there lollygagging around. That whole thing needs to be corrected. If it isn't correct, we're gonna have some disappointing Tuesday nights. That was abysmal. You could hardly make it worse if you had the chalk class. So hopefully that'll get corrected. I'm not afraid to say stuff, even though people get upset. But hopefully I'll get down there Thursday and hope to see all those things corrected. We're going to play a very disciplined football team this week, Northwestern. They've beaten us some years when they really weren't as talented. We better have our defense continue to play great football, and then the kicking to get corrected. And the offense, I guess they're going to make some changes in the line, but hopefully those changes will be positive. And obviously we need to keep number 2 healthy, because he's pretty much everything we have right now as far as a football player on offense. Any other questions or comments?
Well, would you be willing to be the kicking game analyst for if Scott Frost asked you?
Yes. And I would be very happy to tell them if it didn't greatly improve, they could keep the money. I want to see them do well. And it's just not happening. Jim sits up there and watches the games, and he calls the things out because he knows too. And we all know. It's just abysmal to give up games when we should be winning them. Well, I'll look forward to seeing all of you in person next week.
Okay.
Also, there were a few that didn't make it tonight, and hopefully we'll get the word that we'll be at the Doe Center. And we have very good facilities there. I think you've been impressed with them. A lot of room. We might scrimmage a little bit. See how Jim Jankowski can limp for a first down. And kind of go from there. Tackle Ed by his hair.
Hey, that's legal. That's legal.
Well, we beat Stanford in the upset of the year in 1971. And our winning tackle was tackling the guy's ponytail out of the back of his helmet. And they went on and won the Rose Bowl. We could have played them 100 times and would have beaten them once, but we beat them the one time. And that was a key tackle in the game. And we were very happy for the hippie running the ball.
I remember Thomas Lott with his bandana,
Bandanas.
and just thinking, man, if they just grab that thing.
Yeah, he was a very good player.
Oh yeah.
Well, hopefully we'll have a much more enjoyable time next Tuesday night together in person, and hopefully we'll come back with a nice win, getting ready to play Michigan. Everybody take care and have a good week.
See
Thank
you,
you.
Coach.
Yeah.
See you next
We
week.
starting at 6:30?
Yeah, 6:30.
Okay.